I'm here to put you through a physical transformation that's so profound that anyone that knows you looks at you and says, what has happened? What's going on? Like, I want people to see you and think it's outrageous. And I know how to do that.
Welcome to this week's Escape Your Limits podcast. Our guest today is here to expose Hollywood's body transformation secrets. He's a sought-after trainer who has worked with some of the most famous celebrities and athletes in the world. When it comes to pushing the limits to insane lengths to radically transform bodies in a matter of weeks or even days for the big screen, he's the guy that gets called in. No fads, trends, or gimmicks, just quick results. In our interview, he shares the mindset of working with A-listers, the 4 desirable body archetypes most people fall into, the hardcore workouts and specialized diets that gets his clients ripped, and why sleep and recovery are essential to creating the body of your dreams. So please welcome Eric, the trainer, to this week's Escape Your Limits podcast. So Eric, thank you so much for inviting me here.
Thanks for coming, man. Yeah, welcome to my office.
When I came in the door, I was kind of a little bit intimidated by your energy because straight away it was like, right, what are we doing?
Oh, really? No, listen, I'm like a giant Irish setter. I'm always happy to see people. So sometimes I bark and jump up on people in a happy way. But I love it here. It's my home.
Yeah, I guess for what you do and having different types of clients, that being able to sort of like change their state and bring that energy all day must be kind of a part of, an important part of what you do, is it?
Yeah, I believe that any brand that's powerful and successful has authenticity. And I can tell you that when I wake up in the morning, I leap out of bed, not because I want to be a morning person, but because I'm on a mission that's bigger than myself. I love coming here. I love getting the chance to work with all the artists that we have. It's an honor for me to do this. And I'm on a mission that won't be stopped.
So you are actually like, if I spoke to your partner, then this is Eric, this is you.
Yeah,
even
this is me.
Early in the morning.
Yeah, I'm sound asleep and I wake up like this. Yeah, man, I'm ready to go. Come on, yeah.
So what do you do to kind of like keep that energy, that sort of, because I'm not like that in the morning, I'm kind of like the grumpy morning person.
Oh, really?
My wife's like you.
Okay.
But I'm not.
Do you have her number? Just kidding. I'm kidding. I think part of it is I go to bed early, so I'm not tired when I wake up. I think part of it is, each one of these artists that we work with, I see as a separate project. So when I wake up in the morning, I look at my schedule for the day and I have all these exciting projects to work on that are in progress. And it's usually a short-term process. And so, I work with them for a couple weeks or a couple months and then boom, they're off to shoot a movie, they're off to shoot a television show, they're going on tour. So there's a lot of gratification I have to see my work up on screen, to see them on stage performing, looking and feeling their best, inspiring the masses. Like, it's a big deal for me. I like that.
You've been doing it for a long time.
Almost 30 years.
30 years.
30
wow.
years.
How do you sort of keep that, I suppose, energy? Like, when you start something new, it's great and you're really passionate and energy. But, after, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years,
right.
30, how do you sort of keep that excitement about, it's a great job, but it's tough to keep it going for that long.
No, that's a great question. First of all, I love what I do. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't feel like I come to work. I feel like I come for adventure. Second of all, I love music and I love television and I love film. And so the fact that I can work with people involved in those mediums, those artistic pursuits, for me is very exciting. I mean, I love to go to the movies. So when I sit down and and the lights go down and the movie starts, like recently with Wrath of Man. Did you see Wrath of Man with Jason Statham? Oh, man, we need to get you.
I'm not a movie guy.
Come on, man. You're not a movie guy. Get out of here. Why did you send this guy? He's not a movie guy.
Well, I am. It's just fitting it in with life, I suppose.
Dude, come with me. I'll buy the popcorn. So when the lights go down and the movie begins, and I see one of our actors on screen looking phenomenal and doing his great dramatic work, it just makes me feel really happy and really excited. I love it. And so it's all part of a huge cycle. It's like a giant square dance. I show up here, people are working out, we're giving advice and helping them with exercise, with diet, with sleep. And then at a certain point, they leave the room, they leave the dance, they go off to create this work of art. And the next thing you know, they're back and they're getting ready for their next thing. But in the meantime, we get to go to the movies, we get to go to a concert, we get to turn on the television and see the stuff that they've worked on. It's very exciting. I mean, a lot of people love Christmas because they get to open up presents. You know, when I turn on the TV and I'm watching Mindhunter and I see Holt McCallany looking great and acting so well, and it's about psycho killers, I'm like, this is amazing. And you know, I remember that he was telling jokes with us in the gym, and I tackled him, and he fell on this couch, and I just love it, man. I just love the process.
Yeah. I've been learning about the fitness industry through a lot of people that we interview here and how it all started. And one of the people that seemed to be extremely influential was Jack Lalanne.
Right.
And I understand he was a bit of a mentor for you. What impact did he have, and what did you learn from Jack Lalanne that's still, you know, part of what you do today?
That's a great question. Well, I started my training career in New York City, and I worked for 5 years in Manhattan trying to be the very best trainer I could be, and I had a lot of success in Manhattan, but I wanted to be better. At a certain point, people would say to me, you're the best trainer in New York, you're the best trainer in Manhattan, but I knew that I could raise the bar if only I had a mentor. And Jack was the closest thing to what I wanted to be. Because when you think about Jack, you can't help but smile. The guy was hilarious. He was always filled with moxie. He used to say things like, if man made it, don't eat it. And if it tastes good, spit it out. He also used to do thousands of push-ups. He used to swim shackled with his hands and feet, pulling boats filled with people. And he was like a real-life superhero. And I wanted to follow in those footsteps. So spending time with him before he passed away meant the world to me. And learning directly from him, not from a book, but learning directly from him, it really shaped my career vision and path to this day. And I'm still close to the family to this day. Right. I mean, he's my number one professional influence by far, and I'm so lucky to have known him. But I'm a happy guy. And you know, there are lots of different types of trainers. Trainers, you could almost say, are like girlfriends. I mean, there's a million different types for a million different types of people, but I'm not a drill instructor. I'm not someone that will yell at you if you're not doing a good job or demand that you do something. I'm also not someone that holds a clipboard saying, yesterday you did 25 pounds, today you did 35, good job. I'm someone that's much beyond that. I'm here to put you through a physical transformation that's so profound that anyone that knows you looks at you and says, what has happened? What's going on? Like, I want people to see you and think it's outrageous. And I know how to do that.
You talk about Jack Lalanne's push-ups. Am I right in understanding you did like 40,000? You did.
I did.
A record for.
I did 40,000 push-ups to raise money for charity for my 40th birthday. The last 1,000 was on my 40th birthday at the Sheriff's Academy with all the cadets. And as soon as we were done with 1,000 push-ups, they wheeled out a huge cake. It almost looked like a wedding cake. I mean, it was kind of weird, but it was really exciting. And all the cadets stood up and they said, "Happy birthday, sir!" Like it was kind of an intense happy birthday. But yeah, man, 40,000 push-ups to raise money for charity.
Did you get any kind of like repetitive strain injuries or anything? That sounds
not
like
at
a
all.
lot of,
No. I actually lost weight because here's the thing you don't know about doing 40,000 push-ups. It takes a lot of athleticism. So I had to eat like constantly in order to maintain my physique because I was losing weight. But if you look on YouTube, I did 1,000 live on television while they interviewed me. It was a great time, man. I mean, think of it this way. It's not that big of a deal. Like if we were driving in a car and the car stopped, I couldn't help us. I know nothing about mechanics. If you wanted me to bake you a cake, I'm not a great chef, but I can do more push-ups than anyone you know. So there you go. It's kind of a funny skill to have. But I love it, man. It's all part of the whole realm of things that I love to do.
Yeah. And speaking about mentors then, how important has that been through your career? Because I guess you're also getting mentored in some level from some of your clients. But for people that are, think, well, they want a mentor, but maybe there's no one around them that they can do that. How would you go about searching out and getting someone that can give to you what you got from people like Jack?
Right. Well, when I think about the mentors I've had in my career, Jack Lalanne, Frank Zane, Don Holworth, Mr. America 1967, I would say to those people that are searching for mentors, think about what you want to do for your life. Like, think about what would make you happy and excited, the direction that you want to go in. See who is doing that exact thing at the highest level and go to them. I mean, remember, I was in Manhattan. I came all the way out to California. I didn't know anyone at all to get close to these guys, to learn directly from them. That's how important it was to me. I had a huge clientele in New York City. I mean, I was training Broadway stars and the head of Christian Dior and all of these amazing Manhattanites, and I left that all behind to try to raise my skill set to become the very best I could be. I mean, leaving a successful practice for a trainer in a big city like New York, that's death for your business. I mean, that's crazy, but I did it. And I'm so glad. It really paid off.
Right. And I understood, I'm not sure if this is a true story, but when you went into, going on TV, you obviously weren't trained at doing that previously.
Not at all.
But you made quite a big sort of commitment to get a mentor to help you do that as well. Do you want to share that story?
Yeah,
That's quite interesting.
Okay. So I firmly believe that if you learn from the best at whatever you want to do, it almost guarantees the highest level of success for you. At least it gives you a huge competitive edge. And I remember the day that Jack Lalanne said to me, "You need a TV show." And I was like, "Oh wait, Jack, you don't understand. I want to be the best trainer I can be." And he said, "No, you need to be on television, because in order for you to get your message out there, television is the best medium." And my first thought was, oh great, so here I am, I'm going to have to try to get on TV somehow. I mean, this is crazy. So I went back, I thought about what he had said, and I decided to sort of approach the problem exactly as I approach other problems and try to find a mentor that would help me become better on camera than I currently was, which I was terrible. I mean, I had all kinds of crazy things I
guess
would
we
do.
all start
Yeah.
somewhere, don't we?
I had all kinds of nervous tics. So the first thing I asked myself was, who currently on television is someone that you look to that you would like to emulate or be like? And I really thought about it, and there was a guy named Mark Steinis, who at the time was the host of Entertainment Tonight. And he was kind of a big, powerful, strong guy, but also he just had a relaxed way of interviewing people. And I thought, man, if I could be like Mark Steinis, that would be pretty cool. And so I went to work and the very next day, and I said to my 7 a.m. clients, man, I would really love to meet Mark Steinis. I think he could really give me some good advice. And I said to my 8 o'clock clients. By the time my 9 o'clock clients came in, one of the guys said, oh, my cousin's sister is his assistant. I mean, you have to put it out there in order to get it back. The next thing you know, I'm on the phone with Mark Steinis. We're talking on the phone, and through that connection. And he said, okay, I'll tell you what. You can come to set, and I will train you for 1 day. It'll cost you $1,200. I want it in cash, and that's the only way I'll do it. And at the time, $1,200 was a lot of money for me. But I really wanted to make this happen. So I said, great, I'll do it. And so I showed up at the Entertainment Tonight studios and worked with him. And he was not an easy guy to work with. He was hard on me. He would have me read some copy holding a microphone, and he would say, okay, do it again, but don't do that thing. Okay, read it again, but I need you to really punctuate it. Slow it down. I mean, he kind of put me through the ringer a little bit. I mean, he was nice, but he was not super polite. I felt like I was in a little bit of a basic training mode. And after the day was over, I felt like I had learned so much from Mark that my brain was starting to turn into guacamole. Like I was a little overwhelmed. And at the end of the day, I reached in my pocket to give him the money, and he said, I don't want the money because I want credit for how great you're going to be on TV. And I thought, wow, this guy is so generous. And so that also taught me a lesson about generosity and about what Kevin Spacey had said to me. He said, if you ever achieve a level of success that's really high in your life, make sure you send the elevator back down for someone else. Yeah. And that's exactly what Mark Steinis did. And to this day, I'm so grateful for his guidance and help. And then it was just a matter of finding a television situation that I could sort of place myself in. And once again, I put it out there that I sort of put that energy out there. I really wanted to somehow get on television. 6 months later, I get a call out of the blue from a company based in Chicago called Celebrity Sweat, and they were looking for a television personality to be the co-host with a guy named Nelly, who is a rapper. Pretty famous guy. You know Nelly. He was on Dancing with the Stars. And so Nelly and I worked for a little while as co-hosts of the show, and then very quickly Nelly said, you know what? You've got this. And Nelly went off to be Nelly, and I ended up being the host of Celebrity Sweat for 6 years. And then Billy Blanks came on as a co-host. We had a great time. We traveled the whole world interviewing people and doing fun things together, and it was a great experience. I love it. You can watch Celebrity Sweat on Amazon Prime.
Fantastic.
It's a great show.
So one of the things that interests me quite a lot, and from what I understand, your dad was a therapist. Is that correct?
He was, yeah. My dad was a psychotherapist growing up in a small town in Maine. We lived on a farm. We had pigs. We had sheep. We even had a donkey. I mean, it was a true farm.
Right. And you know, from when I speak to a lot of trainers, and even you look at people that have been successful at getting people to get the results that they want, a big part of it seems to be mindset. It seems to be a huge part of the story. And I guess with you working with so many celebrities, actors, rock stars, what's their mindset like? So when they come in, I guess training a regular person compared to someone that's obviously been driven to get to that level of being almost like the best in the world at what they do? You know, that probably takes a lot in itself. Well, how do they approach things when they come in and they're kind of like, well, look, I'm not actually in the shape I want to be.
Right.
Well, how does their mindset differ, and do they have the same limiting beliefs and insecurities like everybody else? What's your experience on that?
My experience over 30 years is it differs from case to case. So we have some actors that come in, some musicians that come in who are wildly successful, who are insecure, who are upset about things, who are worried, who are sweating the little things. And it's my job to work out with them, but actually help them rid their minds of those thoughts. And my goal is not necessarily during that session to make sure that they look great and they get a big pump, but actually they leave here feeling much better than when they came in. So that is a huge part of my job, because I want them to always associate this place with feeling their best, not just looking their best. Other guys come in and they have complete confidence. They've already achieved a certain level of stardom and success, and they have nothing left to prove. So they come in and we just enjoy each other's company. And I have the secret ability to make them look better than anyone else. And I can tell you that I've even had situations where clients have gotten into great shape and then realized that they're at a whole new level and gone off and not come back for a long time, and even trained with other people, only to experience either an injury or a shift in their looks, and they come back with their tails between their legs. Can we still work out? And the answer is always yes. The answer is always yes. Fitness to me is like a happy puppy at the end of the day that's always happy to see you. So there's no judgment here. But yeah, it's really, there are two things we deal with. We deal with the mindset and we deal with the physicality. And sometimes one is more important than the other. Sometimes we have celebrities that come in who need to look better. And by looking better, it brings their mindset up.
Right.
And then sometimes we have people that come in and they look pretty good, but their head is just in a weird place. And we remind them of all the success they have and all the things they should be grateful for. And we give them that sense of camaraderie and community, and that really lifts their spirits. And then they're addicted to this place. Yeah. This is kind of like the Hotel California. You come in and you can never leave because it's a lot of fun, you know?
Do you, is that quite a big part? Like, I guess, you know, you've got someone that's probably trying to get a particular part in a movie or try and pull something off, and they're not quite there yet. And obviously, you know, maybe their body or their physique is quite a big part of that. Do you is there, you know, in terms of proportion, is there generally a big part that's mental equivalent to the physical stuff that you're doing in here as well?
Well, there's nothing worse than walking into an audition knowing you really want the role, but knowing that you don't look the way you need to. Like, that's a terrible feeling. So many times I have actors that come in and I say to them, like, what role are you going for? What kind of thing do you want to put out there? And when they tell me, I look at their bodies, and if it doesn't match, I can bring their bodies up to exactly where they need to be. And then they have all the confidence, all the enthusiasm, all of the things necessary to be that character. I mean, it's an amazing process to go from normal to extraordinary. On the other hand, sometimes we meet people that are not in bad shape, they just have low confidence. And so we go through the motions of a great workout, but it's really connecting the mind and the body together and drawing out the spirit so that they sort of embody who they are. My son, when he was very young, went through a period where he was a little insecure. And during those times as a father, I wanted to give him the very best advice. So I used to say to him, remember who you are. You're my son, you're a martial artist, you're a member of this family, you live in California. I sort of went through the whole checklist. And as he remembered who he was, suddenly that insecurity went away. So sometimes I have to remind these guys, like, remember who you are. Like, you're a guy who walks out on stage, and with one strum of the guitar, you inspire a stadium of people. I mean, that's really special. And they're like, yes. Like, it's almost like they forgot, you know? And so I help them sort of reconnect in that way. And then we go off into the world and we conquer. And it's a lot of fun.
So we spoke off camera, and I don't want to share too much about your clients because I know a lot of that's private. But some of the people that you mentioned are really, you know, just amazing, you know, and they have been consistently for a long period of time. In your experience, what kind of makes those people that are that successful? You know, what do you think goes on up here? You know, what are they like
as people, and I suppose what separates them from everybody else in terms of their ability to be successful at what they're doing?
I think that as you achieve success in your field and you achieve material wealth, at a certain point you have nothing left to prove, and so you can start to let the barriers down and enjoy yourself. And I think for a lot of these guys, even with a band like Def Leppard, I mean, these guys have been rock stars since they were teenagers. They're now in their 60s. I mean, if they don't know who they are by now, then it's crazy. But to this day, Def Leppard, using them as an example, they share one dressing room as a band. It's very rare that you find any band on the road that shares one dressing room with 4 or 5 guys. But they have such a brotherhood between them that it's a beautiful relationship that they have. I mean, many of the bands that sort of came up with them have broken up, get into fights, sue each other. But you know, if there's a love of the music, if there's a love of what you do, if you feel like you're on a mission larger than yourself, there's a special bond that really the audience can sense that. They can sense that happiness and that joy. And conversely, I've worked with artists, I've worked with bands where one member comes in and then the member leaves and the manager calls, okay, he's gone. So the next guy comes in because they don't get along. So you see them playing on stage together, but they actually personally don't like each other. And you can sense that in the music, in the performance. Yeah. And that's no fun. So I never go on tour with those guys.
No, that must be difficult. I guess it must be difficult to be successful, and then particularly when you're creative and to sort of maintain that creativity. You know, like you've got very few people like the Stones and that have been able to do that, but to be able to sort of, you know, share that creativity together and enjoy spending time with each other, because I suppose you know, people do grow apart. You know,
they do, and wives whisper in your ears. You know, it's like a Shakespearean drama. Yeah. You know, it's suddenly there's different divisions. The greatest compliment I got in the last couple of years was I was working with a very, very famous band, and the manager came to see me and he said, "You're the only thing they all agree upon that they like. Wow. Other than that, it's all division." You know, and so that was kind of nice. But I'm a guy who, I'm like Switzerland. I love everybody. I'm happy to work with all artists as long as you're respectful to others. And because of that, I've had the chance to work with people from a plethora of backgrounds. It's been really nice. Do you, is that, I suppose when you're going on tour, I've never done it, but my guess is it can be quite stressful and people are tired and there's a lot of pressure. Is a big part of when you go on tour with these people, just that sort of, you know, being the sort of therapist in some cases for some of those things, or you would think
someone
so.
else do that?
You would think so, but I never let the energy get that low, where I'm their therapist. Instead, I'm kind of like their cheerleader. So it's all about keeping the morale high, the energy high, and people have a tendency to match the energy that you bring to the table. So if you bring a positive energy and enthusiasm and constantly remind them about how cool this is, and hey, we're going to be in Kentucky next month, and this is so cool, and we're going to go to this place, and then we're going to Japan afterwards, they're like, oh yeah, you know, like they don't worry as much about the things that were bothering them before. And so I think sometimes managers hire us, not just me, but my staff, because we have a tendency to keep the tone high.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I suppose I always thought of it as, yeah, you know, you're training them, showing them to keep themselves fit, but I suppose that, you know, inspiring them and keeping that energy and things is probably more of an important part, isn't it? You know?
It's all about motivation and inspiration, those two things. And like I said, you're right. Many trainers allow themselves to be in the position of being a therapist, but that just shows that they don't see the big picture, because the best trainers never let it get that low at all. You know, no way, man.
So I want to talk about, you know, building and sculpting bodies, and you know, for you, I see, we said it before, but you're kind of a bit of a kind of Michelangelo character. I don't know how you define yourself, but you know, you're an artist.
I'm an artist that works in bodies. You know, I'm not a sculptor with clay. I'm not a painter, but I can take any person, male or female, overweight, underweight, and transform them into a version of themselves that's extraordinary, faster than anyone you know.
Yeah, and I know from the types of clients you get, it's like, look, I need this in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks. It's a short space of time you're having to.
Are you crazy? No. My average time is 21 days.
21 days.
Sometimes it's 1 week. Sometimes it's 2 weeks. I've had 4-day transformations in the past. I've had 1 hour transformations in the past. 1 hour, yeah. Yeah.
We'll do one of those afterwards, I think.
Oh, that's too easy. Come on. At least handcuff me so there's something going on, you know?
So I've got your book here, and I was looking at this earlier, but you've kind of got like these different sort of body types to choose from. So, you know, I could either be this sleek ninja or Lord of a Jungle or sleeping giant, or if I was my wife is sleeping beauty.
Correct.
So you've got these different. So tell me the story around these kind of, you know, the different body types. Do you kind of get people and say, okay, well, which one do you want to look like? Is that how it works?
Well, after being a trainer for 30 years, I realized that most men want to be one of three things. They either want to look like Bruce Lee, they either want to look like Tarzan, or they want to look something like the Incredible Hulk or maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. So sort of sleek, small, sinewy, and powerful and explosive, like Bruce Lee, which I can do to anyone. The ideal is Tarzan, and 90% of all of the actors that we work with, the musicians, they all want to look kind of like Tarzan. Small waist, broad shoulders, sharp jawline, broad chest, high on their torso like 2 dinner plates. And then sometimes they just want to explode with muscle and look more like the Hulk. As a matter of fact, Muscle and Fitness magazine, when they had their issue on how to become the Incredible Hulk, had me do the workout because they knew I was A, comic book fan, and B, I know how to transform people. So that was a huge honor for me. That's when the Avengers first came out. That's how long I've been around, dude. The first Avengers. But yeah. So those are sort of the 3 choices that you have.
Plus the female one,
and most women, it turns out, most women want to look like Jane from Tarzan and Jane.
Okay.
And Jane doesn't go to the gym, but she's sleek, she's feminine, her muscles are elongated, she's powerful, but yet she's kept her feminine tendencies.
Okay. So one of the things you say you do here is gender-specific training.
Correct.
So what does that mean, and what, you know, compared to what everybody else would typically do then?
Well, when I first became a trainer, it seemed like everybody was training people as people. So men and women would work out the same way, they would eat a similar diet, and yet when you speak to the people that are working out, they yearn for polar opposite results. And just using logic, it doesn't make sense if you and your wife eat the same foods and do the same exercises and yet want opposite results. It doesn't make sense that would happen at all. And so I decided to allow the customer to dictate what they wanted and create exactly that through a specific set of diet, specific exercise. And the only thing in common with the two are sleep. Sleep is when the body changes. And sleep at the time wasn't even really focused upon. And yet sleep of the science of change is exercise, diet, and sleep. Sleep is when all transformation occurs exclusively, yet they weren't focusing on that, which was kind of surprising because of the 3, I think sleep is the most important.
Right. So one of the things that my wife kind of wanted, we spoke about it before, but the sort of like the red carpet body,
right.
And obviously it's, you know, it's something that I'm guessing everybody wants to have for when they've got their special dress on.
Right.
In a short space of time, then what's the kind of go-to plan to, you know, how do you kind of create those nice lines and shapes for a female to, you know, a few key things to get that sort of red carpet body then?
Well, for females, I noticed that they changed most effectively and most profoundly by using no equipment at all. So your whole business would be ruined by me because, hey, if I'm training women...
You have to delete that bit out.
I know, exactly.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, the women that were using weights and machines just weren't changing fast enough or yielding the right result for my high standards. And so when I lived in New York City, I did a number of focus groups. In New York City, I worked for a company where of 1,500 trainers, for 5 years, I was their top grossing trainer. I trained more clients and made more money for them than any other trainer of the 1,500. So they were kind of like, we don't really know what you're doing, but we love it. So just keep on, yeah. And so they essentially gave me my own club, which was on 34th and 6th, right across the street from the biggest Macy's in the world. I don't know if you know where that is in Manhattan. And there I ran focus groups. I had 4 women work out with weights. I had 4 women work out with no weights. I had 4 guys do a combination of bodyweight exercises and weights. I had 4 guys only use weights. I had 4 guys use only body weight. And I really created a method that I brought out to California and immediately applied to the entertainment business with giant success. And that's what this book reflects. But yeah, so if your wife came to me and said, hey, in a week and a half, in 10 days, I'm going to be on the red carpet, I would say, no problem. As long as she would allow me to control her exercise and her diet and her sleep for those 10 days, she would go through a visual transformation that you would be dumbfounded by. I have full confidence. We would never touch a piece of equipment, but she would find herself going through a transformation that is extraordinary. I noticed that when women work out from below their chest to above their knee exclusively in this region, everything changed. So if your wife came to me and she said, I want my jawline to be sharper, I want my clavicle exposed, so if I wear a V-neck it looks really nice, and I want my arms to be sleeker, we would do leg kicks. I'm telling you, men and women change completely differently. And so women don't have testosterone in their bodies, obviously, and so they don't have the same hormonal advantage that we have. And also remember that you in your best form and your wife in their best form look completely different. We have to take that into consideration. Mm-hmm. You guys should almost look like polar opposites.
Right. So for the guys then, if I want to be like the Tarzan or the Bruce Lee, like in terms of training, what are some of the different, and I'll come on to diet in a moment, but sure. what are some of the sort of like different ways that you would train the Tarzan from the Bruce Lee?
Sure. If you want to look more like Bruce Lee, we would incorporate a lot of body weight exercises. Calisthenics, but specific calisthenics that would deliver a specific look. It's a theory that I call strategic blood delivery, meaning that the blood is flowing through your body, but I want to strategically pump up certain muscles to give an optical illusion that's very, very different than a normal person. You can always tell my clients, if you're walking through a shopping mall or if you're in a grocery store, you would know my clients from anyone else because they're extraordinary. They don't look normal. It's a very special thing. There's such a contrast between broad shoulders and small waist. There's such a focus put on posture and put on being exactly the person that they would want. I work with chefs. There's an organization called the ACF, the American Culinary Federation. It's 100,000 chefs here in America. When you go to a restaurant and one of the ACF chefs sees you, he doesn't say, here's lunch. He says, what can I get you for lunch? And you specifically order, I'd like a margarita pizza, please hold the anchovies, blah, blah, blah. The chef listens to you first, then goes back and creates exactly what you want, presents it to you in a beautiful way, and you're really happy. And you'll go to that restaurant again. I'm just like a chef. I'm just like a hairdresser. I first listen to what you want. And sometimes what you want and what the script says that you're going to be in is a little different. And then I don't listen to you. I just read the script and I'm like, sorry, they don't want you to look like the Hulk. You actually have to lose some weight. The script always takes precedent over the actor. But yeah, so I can deliver specific results based upon what you ask for.
Right, and is some of that to do with a bit like the conversation we had regarding Frank Zane, where he would kind of create these optical illusions. So, he would work on certain parts of the shoulder to give, or shoulders, and the way he stood and how he, worked his midsection, etc., to create, those big V's. Is some of what you do to helping create these optical illusions, right, where you seem slightly different to maybe what you would if you stood differently, as an example.
Absolutely. Remember, Frank Zane's one of my mentors. So everything he told you, I've already incorporated into our system, and I've actually gleaned the important parts and released the parts that are maybe a little bit too in the bodybuilding world.
Right.
Because bodybuilders and rock stars and movie stars don't look the same. Mm-hmm. And so if you train a movie star to look like a bodybuilder, you're doing a great disservice. Mm. And it blows me away that sometimes that happens.
Right.
These movie stars work out with bodybuilding trainers and they get all hefty, but bodybuilders are a dime a dozen. Like if I put an ad in the paper saying, hey, I need 25 bodybuilders at my gym tomorrow, they would each come for a couple $100. But how hard is it to get a movie star to come to your house? I mean, good luck. So we work with movie stars, and that's a huge, huge difference. So it's more refined, it's more focused, it's more customized, it's special.
Okay. So what are jet reps?
Jet reps are limited range of motion repetitions that divorce the secondary muscle from the exercise. And I'll give you an example. If I were lifting a weight with doing a shoulder press, and I were to call out the muscle that's working, so from here to here, deltoid, 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 and what about from here up? Tricep, 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 tricep. So the question is, if my goal is strategic blood delivery, and I want to pump up your deltoids, why not tell the tricep to sit down and relax for a while? Why not stay within the deltoid itself and allow the tricep to not work and really drive all that nutrient-rich blood into the primary muscle. It's kind of exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
And so does that sort of link into what you call like is it the engorged phase?
No, the engorged phase is what happens after the exercise. So
Right.
you do the exercise using jet reps or full range of motion or whatever, and then afterwards, you're not done with the set yet. You employ the engorged phase, and that is where you summon nutrient-rich blood to the muscle directly. So let's say I'm doing a set of jet rep bicep curls, and I'm coming up and down, and I'm touching here. So I'm not going all the way down. I'm just doing a partial range of motion. These are jet reps. Notice my elbow point is behind me. As I squeeze at the top, my elbow point comes in front. So it's really working the front of the shoulder and the biceps specifically. But then when I put the weight down, boom, I hit a double bicep pose and I hold as hard as I can for 10 seconds. Because if you watch Pumping Iron, notice those guys used to work out really hard for an hour and a half. But then they would go into a posing room covered in mirrors and they would pose for another hour or an hour and a half, and that's why they look so good. We don't have time to do that in today's crazy society with cell phones and meetings and intercontinental flights. So we actually put that process in the workout. So first we do the exercise, boom, then we do the engorged phase, we hold for 10 seconds, and it summons all that nutrient-rich blood directly into the muscle that you're asking it. You're literally asking it to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of equipment, and I know this is a very broad question because a lot of it's going to be dependent on kind of what you're training and why and how, etc. But in general, I know you're not a particular fan of treadmills. So why is that? Or cardio?
Well, just if you imagine the world of fitness, which is huge, as a line graph, just come with me here, yeah? Line graph. This represents the vast world of fitness, okay? On one side of that, you have people that need athleticism. You have military people, you have police officers, you have football players. Those people need to be in shape for their job. They don't need to look good in their underwear. As far as you can get from those people on the very other end of the world of fitness, that's where I live. These are underwear models and actors and rock stars. They're there to look and feel their best. Their confidence is tied with their good looks, and their good looks motivate, inspire the masses. So we use fitness as a tool to transform the body over here. We don't care at all about athleticism. By mistake, they become strong. Right. By mistake. I mean, when was the last time you saw a beautiful woman in a bikini that really piqued your interest and you thought to yourself, hey, I wonder how high she can jump on a box? You didn't, okay? Hey, I wonder how many pull-ups she could do. You didn't, because no one cares. However, when you are sitting in a movie seat and it's dark and you look up at the screen and the guy comes out of the water in a James Bond movie, and as he comes out of the water, his physique is just glistening, you're like, whoa! You never think to yourself, how much does he bench press? You're just like, there's James Bond. I'm the guy that makes sure that he looks good. Yeah.
So in terms of the equipment then, cardio's not your, like I've seen your treadmill, you got one and it's not particularly, probably not well used
Not
compared
at all.
to everything
No,
else.
no.
So what are some of the things that, your go-to things that you like to use in terms of your tools, your machines, etc.?
We use a lot of dumbbells. We use a lot of barbells. We use a lot of cable systems. And this is all with men. And with women, we use nothing.
No.
With women, we use a mat, and that's it. And we get the most stellar results. The befores and afters are insane, unreal.
Why do you choose not to use any weights for women though?
Because I want them to be attractive.
Right.
And like a painter, a painter creates a work of art, and not everyone likes it, but the brand of good looks that we do here, Hollywood likes.
Right.
And I like. And so like a chef preparing a meal, he tastes the tomato sauce, it tastes great, not too much salt, not too much sugar, it's got the right taste. Luckily, we have a lot of casting directors that work with us, and they give us great, honest feedback, and they're like, you're on the right path.
Right. So if it was like a female superhero, I can't think of one because I'm not really into my superheroes, but would you then sort of need to use some weights if you were, more superhero than girl next door kind of look?
Yeah, I guess so. Like if Gal Gadot, who played Wonder Woman, if she needed to pack on muscle, I do have the capacity and the ability to help women gain muscle mass, but it's not my specialty.
Right.
And it's not what 99% of all casting directors are looking for.
Right.
They're looking for the girl next door, beautiful, sleek, strong, feminine, powerful but feminine.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about training with bands? Is that or bands elastic? Is that anything that you?
I love bands, man. I'm a huge music fan. Just kidding. No. I think training with bands can be fun for a quick pump, but we don't use bands as the primary tool for transformation. Remember, I have no learning curve. A producer will send me an actor or an actress, and they'll say, "Great, he's leaving for Toronto in 17 days." If they're not ready in 17 days, I'll never work for that producer again. I'll always work for that producer again. As a matter of fact, I like to do it in 10 days so I have an extra week just to like hone.
Right.
Yeah.
So what about you talked about we've talked about some of the equipment for training. Is there any sort of go-to tools that you use for recovery? Obviously doing that in a short space of time, I guess for some, if they've not done it, then there's quite a lot of stress on the body. Do you do any sort of massage or cryo or anything like that?
I do recommend massage if you work out on a regular basis. I've done cryo. I think it's a bit of a fad. I think it's kind of weird and funny. The last time I did cryo, I was over in Budapest working with some actors over there because we shoot a lot in Budapest. And I think recovery is very, very important. But honestly, I'm more interested in sleep than I am anything else. People in general don't get enough sleep. And sleep deprivation is the number one health issue in the world across the board. And so stress reduction, getting proper sleep, getting proper nourishment, that's to me, that's what recovery is all about. Remember, I'm a guy who literally needs to take someone from normal to extraordinary. And so whether that's a comfortable process for them and they take care of themselves in that process or not, I can advise them, but I'm going to get them the result that they want in a short period of time.
And what's that like to sustain that then? Like, a lot of people can kind of do these not a lot of people can do these quick turnarounds, but if you do a quick turnaround, is there a chance that you're kind of like going to drop and not be able to sustain it? Or do you try and sort of help people to say, look, if you want to kind of keep that, then this is how you can maintain that into your lifestyle?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I see a lot of Hollywood actors go through these incredible transformations to play a superhero or a soldier. And then you see them on the red carpet and they've lost the body. And it's kind of like, whoa, there's no need for that. So what I do is I explain to people right off the bat that this is a two-step process. Step one is I'm going to take them from normal to extraordinary in a safe, fun, quick way. And then step two is that becomes their new normal. And from there we can bring them up or bring them down, but that becomes their new normal. And I think people really appreciate that. It really gives longevity to their career also, because when you see an actor that you haven't seen in a while and they seem physically fit and filled with energy and sort of bright and sassy, it's kind of fun to say, hey, I want to work with that guy. And so, yeah.
So I'm going to come on to food now. One of the things that really I heard you talk about that I've never heard anyone talk about before was about different food types, and you talked about carbs, but in particular sort of dark carbs like dark fruits and stuff, and,
right.
and how in certain people on camera in film that these dark carbs actually make them look more beautiful. And tell me what that is.
It's a Hollywood secret. When you look at the spectrum of fresh fruits and vegetables that are available, the darker the color, the higher the antioxidant it is.
Okay.
And that's really important to realize because antioxidants sort of fight off those free radicals that age us and make us seem sort of worn out. And with a lot of the Hollywood actors that I work with, they're looking for longevity in their career. It's a very competitive business. And so, if you look at someone like John Travolta or you look at someone like Nicolas Cage, how were they able to look like John Travolta or Nicolas Cage for the past 30 or 40 years without really aging that much? Maybe some of it was makeup, maybe some of it was plastic surgery, like who knows? But a lot of it had to do with a really healthy diet and taking care of themselves. So having antioxidants in your life can really protect your good looks. Because it's one thing to transform your body, but also don't transform your body and suspend the good looks that you normally have. I mean, there are certain actors who get into shape for a role and you look at them and their eyes are hollowed out and their cheeks are like a little sunken in and you're like, oh, I mean, have you been to a bodybuilding show? Yeah. Those people look like they've been through hell and back. Yeah. They almost look like they almost look like triathletes. Yeah. And so it's part of my job is to keep them young, youthful, attractive, and charismatic.
Right.
And so their diet suddenly really helps with that.
And with those types of foods that kind of keep your handsome more beautiful, what are some of the ones that you recommend, some of the popular ones? Because I know you were sort of suggesting against like potatoes and bananas. and more for like, what is it, like blueberries and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, berries are amazing. Berries are very high in antioxidant. They're also very low in sugar. So blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, all incredible. Strawberries, especially when they're in season, they're great. But in general, if you just look at your fruits and vegetables, the darker the color, the better.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about protein? Because the other interesting thing I found out was that for the different body types, I'm going to have to remember these. So we've got Tarzan, we've got Bruce Lee, and then who was the other one?
Tarzan, you have Bruce Lee, and then you have the Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk. I should remember that. So
Lou Ferrigno's right there. You better not make him mad. You wouldn't want to see him when he's mad. Essentially there are 3 levels of protein. There's protein that commands your body to grow in size. There's protein that helps you maintain where you are, and there's protein that commands your body to get sleeker or smaller or leaner. And so if you wanted to grow, if you really wanted to put on some size as quickly as possible, but good size, whole eggs, amazing. Beef, amazing. And dairy, so Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, those are all terrific.
So that would be your Incredible Hulk kind of protein, would it?
Or if you're a very slim guy and you'd love to look like Tarzan, you can utilize those like an airplane taking off from an airport to sort of get to a sort of cruising altitude, and then you can level off.
Okay, so if you wanted the Bruce Lee type of look, then in terms of your proteins, what would be more of the preferred ones that you would be getting some?
If you want to command your body to be sleek and small and sinewy, egg whites and fish. They've used it since the 50s. It's unbelievable. And if you don't believe me, go on an egg white, tuna, and salmon diet with a little salad and berries for a couple of weeks. You're going to look a lot like Bruce Lee. All you'll need is the outfit, and you'll be able to do all your stuff.
So how does it go? Like at the moment, there's a lot of talk about the plant-based stuff and the 1 meal a day. How, if you want to have the Hulk look, are you sort of saying, well, probably the plant-based or maybe just eating fish isn't what's going to sort of be the best thing to kind of give you that look?
I can't imagine you eating egg whites and fish and plant-based protein and looking like the Hulk. I mean, you'd have to take a lot of steroids for that. And I'm sure it's possible, but we don't use those kinds of drugs at this facility. We're looking for a more natural way to success.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about fats? Is there different fats for different body types? Have you got, what's your view on fats?
I think healthy fats like avocado, olive oil, raw nuts are great. However, the 2 worst things you could ever eat, the 2 worst things, like my personal Darth Vader's, worst thing you can ever eat, number 1, peanut butter.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh.
I love peanut butter.
I'm sure. Hey, listen, as long as that's true, I'll always have a job. That's great. I'll give you my card. This guy's going to be my newest client.
Come on, tell me about peanut butter then.
Peanut butter is sort of the magical bullet where it will make you gain weight, specifically around the waist.
Oh, really?
It also has a tendency to slow your metabolism down. And also peanut butter could potentially unlock a genetic predisposition for obesity that's been dormant in your family for generations. So if you didn't know that your great-great-great-grandfather was fat, we can find out using peanut butter. Peanut butter is so fattening that when they go to Africa and they meet these starving kids, the one food they give them to try to get a little weight on them is peanut butter. Yeah. So why would you ever think that it was a good snack for you?
It tastes so good.
Remember that the latest research coming out of
Is
Harvard...
that same for regular nuts, like if you have like almonds in a shake and stuff, or is it just like peanut butter?
It's peanut butter, it's almond butter, it's the butters themselves.
Really?
Yeah, it is. And the latest research coming out of Harvard Medical School says at the end of the day, after all fad diets are over, when it comes to health, the smaller your waist, the longer your life. Conversely, the larger your waist, the shorter your life.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes sense.
So if you want your life to be long...
You just really upset me there, man.
Hey, listen, man. I'm like an EMT and you're like a choking guy. I can help you if you let me help you.
So what was the other thing then?
Well, the worst thing is peanut butter. The second worst thing is ice cream.
Oh, man.
Ice cream is so bad. It's dairy. Most adults are lactose intolerant. It's high in sugar. It's cold, so it shocks the system. Yeah, if you really want to...
My 2 favorite foods.
If you really want to go to the Louvre and urinate on the Mona Lisa, have a little peanut butter and ice cream. And it keeps me in business. I should send them... I should send Baskin and Robbins a Christmas card every year.
I don't eat Baskin and Robbins, but I like the gelato. But okay, all right. I'm gonna have to go and get my head around that one.
I know, man. Those are the 2 worst things. And if you don't believe me, cut out.
No, I do believe you.
Yeah, cut out the peanut butter and ice cream for a little while and watch your waist get smaller.
Right.
And watch your life get longer. Yeah.
So supplements. you're not a big fan, from
No.
what I understand, but I've heard you talking about, particularly when it's like actors, they're going on camera,
Right.
see a lot of detail, and I suppose if you eat the wrong supplement, it can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
But if you're, just for assuming that you're not being looked at on a camera, are there any things that you would recommend to kind of supplement, whether it's some sort of vitamins or anything like that, to kind of that are useful to have to kind of balance out maybe not great nutrition or anything?
Absolutely. I think having vitamins in your life make a lot of sense. I take vitamins every day. I take a multivitamin. I take extra D, extra C. I take a branched chain amino acid every single day. And I even like some plant-based proteins. There's a company I like called Sun Warrior. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're based out of Utah.
Actually, yeah.
So I'll throw a little Sun Warrior protein, which is plant-based, in a little smoothie as a mid-afternoon snack. It's really, really good. I mean, I really look at the companies and see what their ethics are and see how quality the ingredients are. And so Sun Warrior is one of my favorite brands. And I think the important thing to do, though, is realize that diet is so important, and it's a direct reflection on my ability to transform you. So if you think about me as a sculptor, I need very high quality clay. So it's important what you eat, how hydrated you are, and how you feel. It's really important.
What do you recommend in terms of protein for? And again, I'm guessing it's different for the different body types. But what for guys in terms of how much protein you should take, probably for those three. What are your recommendations?
In general, it's about 1 gram per pound of body weight.
Right.
Yeah. In general.
Okay.
If you want to grow, if you want to be a little bit more, it's a little bit more. Yeah. And if you're looking to come down and really sleek out and transform your body in that way, you still have to eat a lot of protein, but specifically the egg whites, the tuna, the pole-caught tuna, the wild-caught salmon. It really makes a huge difference.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So recovery, I know that's one of your key things: workout, diet, and recovery.
Exercise, diet, and sleep is the very science of change.
So how do you, my guess is some of your clients must be under a lot of stress. They must be traveling around the world, different sets, having to, do crazy things.
Yeah.
What do you, and particularly if you're a rock star, that must be really screw up your sleep.
We deal with a lot of them. Yeah.
What advice and coaching and recommendations do you give to those sorts of clients where they're world tours to be able to get a decent sleep that's going to, do what they need to be done to them?
Right. Well, that's a great question. When I was on tour with Def Leppard, for example, we would be at the venue, the show would be over, the guys would take a shower, we'd be back on the tour bus, and many of them would be in bed before we pulled out of the venue.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very rock starish.
Well, listen, man. I mean, the days of sex, drugs, and rock and roll have really changed, and I'll tell you why. The music business itself changed. So no longer are bands making a lot of money from record sales. They really make the bulk of their income from live shows. And those live shows, as you get older, I mean, these guys are in their 50s, 60s, 70s. Look at the Rolling Stones. If they don't take care of their bodies, they're not going to be able to deal with the grueling schedule that they're on. So they have someone like me who not only motivates and inspires them and is their cheerleader, but also very gently advises them on, hey, we got to hit the sack. Hey, I'm going to be in the gym tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I need you to be well rested. It really matters. And so my job becomes more important in today's economy than before.
Right. And what about are there any sort of sleep rituals to help them? Because I can't imagine what it must be like to have thousands of people screaming at you and the high that you must be on.
Oh yeah.
When you it would take me weeks to get down off that. But what do you do to kind of bring them down, without sort of, taking stuff that's probably going to be counterintuitive to your health?
Right. When we were on tour, they weren't using melatonin. They were actually, these are guys that are so experienced and they've been rock stars for so long. They're used to that high. And then when they come off stage, they take a shower, they chill out, they have some sort of little snack afterwards. I mean, it's like Groundhog's Day, man.
Right.
It's like day in and day out is the same.
But what about, I know you deal with some of the younger, of rap, so they must be slightly different. They must be still
right
on the.
I've had rappers whisper in my ear at after parties, if I do X, Y, and Z, is it going to be okay? And I have to tell them no. I'm not their dad, but I'm like their cool cousin who encourages them with a smile not to partake in that because they're going to pay for it the next day. because their next performance in the next city the next day is going to be subpar because they chose to inhale some crazy drug, or they chose to run off with some crazy girl and stay up all night. I mean, it can really hurt your career, and it can really hurt your fan base to not deliver that same level of excellence, artistic excellence, night after night. And so I'm kind of like a bobbin, for people that fish. If it goes down, I'm going to try to get them to spring back up. Yeah. I started doing martial arts when I was 10 years old. I'm in my 50s now. I have the ability to pick up a client and carry them away from danger, which I have physically done before. So I can act as trainer, I can act as bodyguard, I can act as someone blocking some crazy fans, and sometimes I have to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And what are your thoughts? Like over here, particularly in California, I've noticed it's the whole sort of CBD and cannabis is quite big. Is that something that, I'm not sort of saying this that any of your clients don't, right, but what's your view on that as something as a substance for recovery or rest or anything?
The latest research they've done with CBD, it seems to help a lot of soldiers that have seen combat with PTSD, which is really exciting because I've been over to the Middle East twice to train the American troops, and I know how stressful things are for those people, and I'm so thankful for them, for their service. And if it works for them, it's great. But, if you abuse anything, whether it's alcohol or marijuana or anything, if you abuse it too much, it can begin to interfere and corrode with your ability to deliver the artistic integrity that people are paying to see. And so I'll sit down with my client and talk to them about it. I have had clients in the past that literally smoke a lot of marijuana, and I've been on tour with those guys. And for me, it's just not my scene. I'm a drug-free guy who never sort of saw the light at the end of the tunnel with that stuff. And that's good. I'm the designated driver. I'm the guy that says no thank you. I clean up the mess sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah, you're like the opposite. You talked about that extreme line in terms of actors and police people, and you're probably the same in terms of the opposite. That they're living this crazy life, and you're the straight and.
I try to encourage them to come over to the world of health.
Yeah.
And I'm not a prude, so I'm not saying you're not allowed to take a drink. I'm not saying you can't smoke marijuana if that's what you want to do. I don't partake in it. And what I do is I try to maintain and protect the artistic integrity that these people have hired me to do. So sometimes afterwards they say, "Hey, thanks. I knew I shouldn't have done that." That's really, really crazy. But on the other hand, if they want to celebrate and have a glass of wine after a big concert, a big successful thing, celebrate. Come on. I was backstage with the band at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I stood there and we pumped up and did push-ups, and they ran out and they accepted their award, shirts off. I mean, that was such a great feeling. I was so proud to be part of that. So it was really cool.
So what are your tips then if you do, what's the sort of a routine for rock stars, or we can call them rock stars, or, people in businesses or high pressure jobs. So when you are trying to sort of keep the wheels on and you're, you may have to go out for dinner late in an evening and you have some wine and what have you. That's a kind of a regular life for a lot of people. Just the same as I suppose if you're a rock star, you're on tour and you've got a lot going on. When you are in those situations where maybe you can't quite get enough sleep, maybe you've had a couple of drinks that you should have done. What's the sort of what do you say to people to sort of keep on the right side of not going off the rails? What are those things that you got to kind of keep in check to say, well, look, if that's happened, just do this and you'll kind of get yourself back on track again?
I encourage them to value sleep.
Right.
And so sometimes if we were out late and they were supposed to have a 9 o'clock workout and it's really, really late, I say to them, hey, let's have you sleep in, and why don't you call me when you wake up and we'll work out later? Because sleep is so valuable. It really not only physically helps you, but psychologically and mentally it keeps you away from those darker places. Right. People that don't sleep enough tend to get depressed, tend to get confused, and it can really throw off somebody's entire life if they don't have enough sleep. As a matter of fact, the latest research tells us that there's hallucination that occurs when people don't sleep enough, almost like they're intoxicated. It's really scary. They've seen it in truck drivers, they've seen it in long distance bus drivers. It's really something else. So sleep is above all the most important, even higher than diet or exercise. Wow. So if one of my clients said, hey, I'm going to either kill my sleep, I'm I'm going to kill my diet or kill my workout, I'd say skip your workout for the day, eat
Really?
healthy, and get some sleep. Oh, for sure.
Right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I do encourage my clients to break a sweat every day. I think it's important to stay active because also those endorphins help not only ward off depression, but also it helps remind you that your physicality is connected to your soul and your heart and your spirit, and it sort of makes everything one, and it's really cool. Some of the most successful people ever of all time in business will say the most important thing is to wake up and exercise every day. Mm-hmm. They're having a huge gathering at Sun Valley right now. I don't know if you are aware of that. Jeff Bezos is there, and Bill Gates is there, and all the greatest business leaders in the world gather every year at Sun Valley. And one of the things that they do is they have huge workouts every single morning together. And that's kind of exciting for me to see that they're adopting that kind of lifestyle. At the 1st of August of this year, I'll be in Orlando training several thousand chefs. Every single morning we wake up, and from 7 to 8 we have massive workouts, and then the convention starts at 8 o'clock.
I heard you talking about that though, and you mentioned that there was some research about the optimal time. Like, I know a lot of people sort of either work out in the morning or in the evening, but is it right that there was some research to say that kind of like, more later in the day is probably more optimal? Was that right? Or?
Actually, they did a huge study at Harvard University, and I was part of the study in the mid-90s about music and about time to work out. So those were the two things. And so our gym played every different type of music. We had to write down what the results were, and then we had people work out at different times. It turns out after everything is said and done, the most optimal times to work out are between 1 and 4 in the afternoon, because you've been up for a while, you've gotten the cobwebs out, you've had at least 2 meals, and yet you're not tired. So between 1 and 4 in the afternoon is the greatest time to work out. And then they had country music, classical music, hard rock music, pop music, and light rock music, or light sort of yacht rock music.
Right.
And it turns out people worked out the hardest to yacht rock, to light rock. Seriously. So Air Supply, make fun of them if you want to, but you'll get the biggest pump if you listen to Michael McDonald, Air Supply, and Kenny Loggins. Isn't that so crazy?
That is crazy. I wouldn't have ever thought that.
Yeah.
So tips for people getting started on that fitness journey and doing it where they're 2 or 3 things, whether it's male, female specific, or in general. What are some of the things that you've learned to get on that fitness path and stick to it over the long term?
I think the most important thing before you start any journey is to decide what destination you want to go to. And this goes for anything you do in your life. You want to buy a house, you want to meet a girl, you want to get into great shape. Define what success is. Tell me, articulate to the best of your ability what a best case scenario would look like. If I had a wand from the Harry Potter series and I could go gling, what would you look like? And as you describe to me what you want, it's giving me valuable data, and I know exactly what to use out here to transform you into that guy within days, not weeks or months.
Right.
Yeah.
So just getting clear about what you want.
Right. Document it. Tell your friends. Make it known that that's what the mission is. Right. Be very clear about it, and then go directly to that place. Be efficient. Yeah. I mean, my wife is Japanese. Those people are more efficient than any people I've ever met in my entire life, and I think a little bit of that Japanese culture might have rubbed off on me. I eat a lot of sushi, so I think it makes a lot of sense to go from point A to point B and not sort of wander around.
Right. Okay. So a couple of questions before we wrap up, but sure. I wanted to I wanted you to sort of like let people know where they can find you, where they can find the book, because I did try and find this book, but it's not easy to go and buy.
No. It's actually it's currently out of print.
Okay, right.
And because this book was originally intended to be a textbook for trainers. My goal with this book originally was to help normal trainers become extraordinary. If you think about normal trainers as cupcakes, this is very fancy icing. But it
is beautiful. Like for people who are just listening on the audio, it is a beautiful book, and there's some really wonderful, like what do you call this? Like cartoon
illustrations.
Yeah. It's and there's some wonderful information in there. So I'd recommend checking it out, and it's very practical. Not that I'm trying to sell it for you, but it is.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, exactly.
So, but where do you say you can get this from when it comes back?
Well, when it comes back, it'll be available on Amazon.
Okay.
And they're looking to do another full reprinting of it because it was so popular. I didn't know it was going to be popular, but it completely sold out, which is kind of exciting. And surprisingly, it was meant for trainers, but 90% of the people that bought the book were not trainers. They were just fitness enthusiasts. So There's a giant market for it out there. And most of them were from out of the country, which is crazy. So I have pictures of guys in India, in China, in Japan holding the book, like, But yeah, it's my life's mission to try to help people out, and this is just one way of doing it. I also encourage people to find me online. So we have social media, we have a website, and you can always reach out to me online and ask specific questions, and I try to answer everything myself.
And if someone wants to get trained with you, is that possible? Can they come down here and have a workout with you? Or
My schedule's pretty busy. I'm pretty booked up, but I do travel a lot, and so I'm constantly in New York, Miami, Orlando, Dallas, Chicago. And when I'm on the road, one of my favorite things to do is to meet up with people and train them.
Right.
So it's something I really enjoy. I love taking someone into a gym, working with them for an hour, and then having them look in the mirror afterwards and just be like, "Oh my God!" Maybe that's the first time they saw themselves that way, the way that they always wanted to. It's all through strategic blood delivery. It's all through creating the illusion based on what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, final two questions then, Eric. What's you've talked a lot about how you create these beautiful celebrity rock star bodies. What's your schedule? How do you work out? What's some of the key things about your diet? How do you get the Eric body and biceps that I'm looking at there?
Yeah, man. Well, hopefully you and I will work out after this interview is over. I love to work out. And so it's amazing I have my own gym to work out in because I train my clients all day long. But I usually finish between 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then I work out myself, get a huge workout in, and then I go home and relax for the evening. And so consistency, I'm in my 50s and I feel like I'm 25. Consistency goes a long way. Having a healthy diet goes a long way. We have a food delivery service called Sunfare that we use here in Los Angeles. It's the biggest and most successful in Los Angeles. It's huge in Arizona. They work with all the MLB teams during spring training, and they're a great partner of ours. So a lot of our clients get their food delivered fresh, organic, every single day from Sunfare, and they deliver to me 7 days a week. So I'm a big fan of their food, and I eat on a regular basis also. I try to practice what I preach.
Right.
Also having the right mental attitude and sort of lowering the stress in your life. Like if you're in a relationship, a romantic relationship that's not working out, it might be time to sort of push that person away and spend time with someone that motivates and inspires you. I met a great girl and we got married, and I wake up every day and I look at her and I'm like, I can't believe it. Like, it's so cool to have someone that you really trust and love and respect and are in awe of that's asleep right next to you. And so we travel the world together, and she's the best. So.
And what about your sleep? When do you typically like to sleep and wake up, and how many hours do you get?
I usually get ready for bed around 9 o'clock, and I'm in bed by 10. Right. I wake up every single morning at 6, and usually there are 4 or 5 guys waiting for me here at 7 o'clock for a big workout, and I'm so happy to see them. So it's a good process. It's a lot of fun.
So final question, Eric. Escape Your Limits is about escaping what you've believed is impossible and gone on to make possible. What would be a memorable example of escaping your own limits?
Well, I can tell you this. I had a moment of truth. I think there's a special word for it. But I had a real moment of truth when I was about 13 years old. I was living on a farm in Maine. At 13, I was no longer a child. By Jewish law, that's when they say that you become an adult. You have a bar mitzvah, and then you're, an adult. You can get married and drive a car. But I was 13 years old, and I looked out the window. It was snowing. It was pitch black outside. And I thought to myself, my parents aren't rich. My parents aren't famous. I'm in the middle of nowhere on a farm. How am I going to get out of here? Like, it was kind of scary. I thought to it's like I came to a realization, like, how is this going to work out? I had these wild dreams of living someplace warm and meeting incredible people and being around art and music. And so it was kind of a scary thought. It was the first big adult thought I ever remember having. And at that moment, I was watching The Karate Kid, the movie The Karate Kid. I was listening to Def Leppard. They were I was a huge fan of their music. And now, flash forward years later, I'm training the guys from The Karate Kid. Cobra Kai is one of the #1 shows in the world, and we're working with those actors. I go on tour with Def Leppard, and I've become very friendly with the band, and they're amazing, and I know them inside and out. Like, things can work out. If you believe in yourself and you believe in your abilities and you maintain your integrity, things can work out. And you just have to maintain that belief.
Fantastic. Well, Eric, thank you so much. Very inspiring.
Thanks, man.
I'm looking forward to the workout.
Rock and roll. I hope you survive.
Me too. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.